Hi, my name is Logan Amick. Today I'm going to be providing details of the Brown versus Board of Education case and how it affected people of different races in a time when equality, even though it was clearly spelled out in the Constitution as every U.S. citizen having the benefit of equal rights, was, somehow allowed to be labeled as separate but equal. So, question one. To give a brief summary of Brown versus Board of Education ultimate ruling, it was a highly publicized case of racial segregation in public schools. The argument was motivated by challenging the 14th Amendment, which stated every citizen born in the U.S. or had become a citizen of the U.S., including African Americans and slaves who had been freed after the Civil War, were granted equal civil and legal rights. So, back to the case. When a African American family moved into a predominantly white neighborhood, they assumed that their daughter would attend the school closest to them. But they were denied access because she was an African American. So instead, walking to school with her friends, that is just a short walk away, she was forced to take a bus and walk 6 blocks to an all African American school. This sparked a huge debate with other African American families, in the same boat. Some other examples I came up with was, if to better grasp what this case was saying, was like, say me and a friend, we go to the store together. We want to get groceries, and we can't, but the only thing is we can't walk into the same areas. I can only go somewhere, they can only go somewhere and shop at their separate places. So basically it's both offered, to one and the other, but we just basically can't be in the same place at the same time, which is, crazy. Anyways, so this sparked a huge debate with other African American families in the same boat. So they all presented their cases as a group, and they were represented by the NCAA, Chief of Counsel Thurgood Marshall. This case was won after arguments were made that just because an establishment offered equal amenities to everyone, it didn't have the same meaning of equality according to the 14th Amendment. And Marshall, the Chief Counsel, argued that the 14th Amendment does not state that an establishment must provide equal things. Instead, it stated there should be equality to every U.S. citizen. And ultimately, the court ruled in favor of Brown family, and was a huge advancement in the civil rights movement. So, question 2. The central question that Brown court indicated must be answered is, does the segregation of public education based on race violate the 14th Amendment? So the Supreme Court just emphasized the equal protection clause of the U.S. Constitution, ruling that separate but equal facilities are inherently unequal and violate the equal protection clause that's in the 14th. So places like restaurants, schools, movie theaters, those are the so-called facilities. They were offered to each group, but they couldn't eat in the same spot. They couldn't watch a movie in the same movie theaters. They had to go to separate schools. And those are some examples I came up with for question 2. So what were the effects of segregation on public education at the time of Brown ruling? This is number 3. Sorry. And so at the time of the Brown ruling, effects of segregation on public education were strained. It was a confusing time for students, who have been separated and told they couldn't be with their friends because of the color of their skin. When the court ruled in favor of Brown, it seemed that it was a great victory. But however, it ultimately would take many years for states to actually implement the integration of students into their schools. So because many states had their own laws regarding segregation, it altogether delayed the process. So some states were fully integrated while others were not. Students felt inferior up until the Brown ruling was issued. Now, you know, they're allowed to go into schools closest to them and be with their friends. You know, it's still they couldn't help but feel uncomfortable still. You know, maybe as they aren't wanted there or whatnot. But obviously, as time passed, it became a normal concept to the students who were feeling those feelings, and it just wasn't as apparent anymore. So basically, it's like imagining like you're going to school and you're trying to learn while being treated differently or unfairly. You know, students probably were angry or upset, like just trying to pretend like nothing was happening to them in an attempt to actually retain information they need to get an education. So it must have been a very difficult time for these students. So number 4, what harms do you believe would result if an employer were allowed to require its employees to work in facilities that were separated by the employee's race? So if an employer was like allowed to require its employees in facilities to separate themselves, I believe that this will cause lawsuits for the company. You know, they'll ultimately, you know, be under fire by media and the constitutional amendments through federal court and whatnot. So I feel like, you know, there's obviously laws to protect the individuals against discrimination, you know, based on race, color, religion, or nationality, you know. I just think that would bring a hostile work environment for these people and, you know, cause employees to feel like they're being treated unfairly. So, all right. Thank you.